Well, that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys want to check it out anyways, or do you want to just move on?
Burn. There has never been a time more that I want to check a thing out than this exact moment.
Okay, then
Ooh.
let's put on our safety armored vacuum suits.
Al kind of looks at Patrick and goes, "What's on your mind, Patrick?"
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm curious too, but you seem very passionate.
By the way, the thing that I was saying before was completely out of character.
Yeah, he said burn, not Tom.
Yeah, he said burn, not
God,
Tom.
it just
Yes.
completely.
We're gonna strike that off
past
the
me,
record.
yeah.
We'll strike that roleplay off the record.
Oh,
Nothing
boy.
happened.
I was just
No,
like,
don't worry about it.
I was like,
Patrick is just-
wow,
Patrick's
Patrick's
like a
really
blank
into
expression, like,
this.
I don't understand.
There's nothing more I want to see. Oh my god, what happened? That
Patrick, are you
skateball
okay?
killed my mama.
Yeah. So I'm all for it as well.
Okay. So, Alicia lets you know that because of the size of the pod itself, the pod isn't too large, and now that the fuel is outside your cargo bay, there's two options. Unfortunately, there's no way to actually dock with this thing, and unfortunately, the way it's designed, she couldn't line up the airlocks together. She says it's just big enough that if we seal the both sides of the cargo bay and open up the hatch itself, she could probably guide the capsule into the cargo bay itself for you guys to check it out, or you guys, she can get you guys close enough, and you guys can go outside, external of the ship in your suits, and investigate it that way through EVA. What would you guys like to do? Bring it aboard or go outside to meet it?
Well, if I recall correctly, there's only one character. This is out of character. There's only one character in our entire party that even has AVA,
Hi there.
right? Hi. So, it would be Al going out there and checking it out. And I do believe that Piff wanted to check this out, so we should bring it inside. What do you guys think? Good idea?
I was gonna say this. Since we don't, again, we're in a strange new world, and this is Rifts. I mean, while Al wouldn't think that, he would think this is a strange world. Maybe have Al go make sure it's safe to bring on board
Sure.
before we bring it on board and unleash a facehugger, and then in 6 hours it's aliens and.
But good news, you don't need to find any insects because they found you.
There's just 6 of them cruising around.
What's up, guys?
Great. And I got a mouthful of alien wing wong. Fantastic.
Wing wong.
So
What the face huggers do. That's what they do.
Ew. Gross.
Yeah.
so
It is.
My vote is for Al checking it out long enough just to make sure that there doesn't appear to be any danger, and I'm bringing it aboard.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what kind of dangers are you wondering? Are you concerned about what the capsule is made of and what it's been exposed to, or are you concerned of what might be inside the capsule might be dangerous?
Both. Okay. First of all, it would be like Al's just kind of like at this point, he's like, it could be anything. But I think if I had to nail it down, wanted to try and make sure this thing's not going to blow up in our faces, and see what's inside and make sure it's not face huggers or thorn demons or something like that.
Okay.
Thorn Demon, what are you doing here?
Guy, you thought you got rid of me, but you just blew me up into space.
No.
We're like, well, and he just like slowly closed the door back on him. He's like, wait, no,
Hey, don't you close that door on me. You assholes.
Slowly kicking it back out into space.
Nope.
Anyway, enough of this hypothetical hilarity.
Yes.
Because as far as external dangers, you can obviously there will be a period of solar radiation that has probably permeated the hull itself. If this thing has been in space for so long, there's always a risk for that, right?
Right.
The shielding of the the pod itself might have deteriorated, right? But that's something that can be contained within the ship itself. So first things first then, Al, you'll probably get into your EVA soon, right? Okay. And Alicia will bring it aboard. So, I mean, she'll align the ship. It's not even turning in space whatsoever. It's just floating right there. It's not going at any sort of velocity. It's really as close to non-moving as it could be. So it's easy for Alicia to line up the airlock so that you are a mere 30-foot jump, which is nothing in zero gravity, for you to get over to there to investigate it. Now, do you have zero gravity movement, sir?
I do.
You do?
Yes, I just don't have combat.
That's fine. You're not going to be. Oh my God, I hope you're not going to be punching this thing.
Me too.
Spoiler, you're going to lose. So assuming that you get out there, no problem. You're going to be checking the exterior of the pod itself to make sure there aren't any explosives. You said that you're concerned about.
Well, explosives or just damaged power supplies. Anything. That, he's not a mechanic, but anything that he could if it's leaking glowy goo. That kind of thing.
Gotcha. All right. And then once that's done, you'll try to be opening it up and seeing what's inside?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well...
Okay.
Yes, though I would have to ask, if there is something inside that might be alive for whatever reason, if opening it up would kill it, then no.
Yeah. That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah. So, probably not. He's going to just do whatever he can with an exterior observation.
Okay. So, I would like you to roll me a D100. And do you have Demolition's Disposal?
Yes, I do.
Roll that, please.
All right.
I think that's the most pertinent since you don't have any mechanical skills. Do you?
No, I don't have any mechanical skills.
Oh, you rolled a
-70.
-70.
By 70, yeah.
That's good. So, from you're much closer now, obviously, to the ship, closer than anyone has gotten, and you can definitely see the exterior of this escape pod has a ton of scratches on it. It's almost equivalent if it was put into a giant dryer with sand. How worn and how scratched and how deteriorated the exterior of the hull is. You don't know much about space, but you know already from looking at ships and whatnot that this thing has had to been out here for quite some time beforehand. Okay. But thankfully, you don't see any leakages, and you don't see anything that you think is explosive. And you are able to confirm what the sensors are reading, that with the exception of the antennae, which you can reach easily enough with your magnetic boots, that seems to be the only thing that is operational. You can also confirm that the antenna with a distress signal seems to have its own long-term battery supply, and everything else is inactive. You're able to navigate yourself to what appears to be the entrance to the pod. And there is a control panel, right? And clearly on the control panel is a way to ping individuals on the inside, almost like a buzzer, for lack of a better word.
All right. He would do so.
There is no response.
He will sigh and then radio back to the ship and say, I don't see anything here that's of immediate danger. I think it's safe to bring on board.
Okay. So I think it's fair to say that you pull onto your umbilical cord, and you return onto the ship. And once you get yourself out and the cargo bay is cleared, for lack of a better word, the shutters, I guess, on either side to contain a vacuum atmosphere is sealed. You guys are on the front of the ship, towards where the cockpit and the rooms are, as compared to the rear engine room, unless you guys want to hang out in the engine room, but I doubt you would, right?
Right.
Okay. Sorry, I'm making assumptions now as the DM. And now we're going to see how good Alicia is at the old Scoopy Scoop. She's not bad. So, sure enough, the side door, the side cargo area of the Twilight Covenant opens up. And you see Alicia. She's kind of gritting her teeth, and she's concentrating on probably about 3 separate monitors at the same time. And as the ship itself kind of lurches off to the right a little bit, you hear this little cling, and then you hear Alicia just go, "Fuck!" And then the ship itself kind of floats away again off to the left. She goes, "Come on, you bastard. Come on. Fuck." And then just a small ding, and she goes, "Got it. Got you bastard." And sure enough, the door closes, and Blink advises. She says, it's best to let the solar radiation from the hull itself, if there is anything like that, wait about an hour or 2 for it to try to dissipate as best as possible. If you guys want to explore it, I suggest you do that in full vacuum suits, just in case. Make sure everything is shielded. I've heard of some accidents of people, earnest people, inexperienced people, pressing their bare hands against that metal, and it just scalds them to the bone. So she kind of shrugs and gives you a heads up on that.
That does not sound fun.
No, she says it's not. No, Tom. No. So, well, is it fair enough to say we wait for time to pass as you continue on your course, of course, to
sure,
the Freedom Station, right? You wait for how long do you guys want to wait? 1 hour, 2 hours?
2.
Two.
I would
we'll
think
2.
Okay. So you wait 2 hours with the everything sealed. It's very, very silent. There's nothing going on. You do still hear, well, you don't really hear anything, but the signal, the transmitter is still going, but it's now on the inside of your ship. And sure enough, after 2 hours pass, the sealed doors are opened, and sure enough, it's a little cockeyed, of course. It looks like it's kind of been jostled in place. It's a little askew, but you're able to see this large spherical escape pod is there amongst you. Well, what would you guys like to do next? The red light, the red antenna is still blinking away, and it is sealed.
Al would still in his EVA suit, for nothing else but protection.
Yeah, well, I'm going to assume everyone puts on their EVA suits unless they explicitly want to disregard the advice given.
Open her up. Just open the door.
Well, that is a little tricky, unfortunately, Al. The control panel that you had to kind of buzzer. It seemed to be some sort of manual buzzer device. In order to the door itself, the entrance to the sphere itself, which is actually on the opposite end of the cylindrical space, or the opposite end of where the antenna is, it has a sealed door, right? And that sealed door is held in place electronically, but the capsule itself doesn't seem to have any power. So you can either force and breach it open or find a way to run some power into the device.
Not Al's strong suit.
So
that would be Patrick. Really quickly, I just want to point out, Tom is kind of a bit far away with his recoilless rifle ready.
Okay.
Just in case.
All right.
So Patrick, noticing that there is still electricity in there, so the beacon's still going. Could use that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd either be something that it's all attached to, which is plausible, or it's just has its own isolated energy
On
source.
closer inspection, you can confirm what Al is able to confirm, that the beacon itself seems to have its own external power source. It seems to be a advanced battery that appears, once you do some small checks, some small diagnostics, it seems to have about 25% power, but still quite a bit of oomph to it.
Right.
But it is that power source is located right at the same location where the antenna is. In fact, the power source itself encompasses a large portion of the base of the antenna.
Okay. So it's either I just reroute power if that's an option, or
of course
remove and attach.
You can do either, whichever route you want to take, and that will determine the difficulty of this.
Well, if there's already a reroute to power, I think he's going to take that option.
Okay, all right. So I would like you to roll me a D100 and do your electrical engineering. Make it harder, though, by 10%.
Okay. Succeeded by 39.
Excellent. So, sure enough, it takes a little bit doing. It takes you about 20 minutes or so, but you're able to reroute the power of the battery itself to the electronic lock near the front of the ship. It requires a few supplies that you actually are able to scavenge from the escape pod itself. You kind of do a manual reroute, like an external cord from one way to another, right?
Mm.
But you're able to handle it no problem with the materials that are already present here on the ship. And sure enough, the console itself it breathes to life. And although there is a numeric console on it as well, there's a clear dispatch, or not dispatch, but open hatch button that you can press.
I will do that.
Okay. And the entire cargo bay itself is filled with this huge hiss as long-contained air escapes through this hatch that is slowly opening, kind of like an elevator door, just opening up as just a rush of vacuumed air fills the ship itself. Luckily, no dust or debris gets upon you, since, first of all, you're all enclosed, and it seems that the air that is escaping is relatively clean. As the door itself opens, you see a secondary door inside, but that one doesn't seem to be electronically sealed. That one seems to have a simple slider manual door to it. Patrick, since you're the one who's in front, closest to this, do you choose to open up that door as well?
Yes.
Okay. So you open up the door, and it does require some light source to beam all the way into the capsule itself. Thankfully, your EVA suits have a light device on it, so you have to flick it on. But sure enough, peering in, you see a somewhat tragic sight. What appears to be 3 individuals who weren't wearing any sort of external suit have been deceased for quite some time. The capsule itself really has the 3 of them in harnesses that are attached to either side of this spherical thing. And you can see areas for waste disposal, for oxygen recycling, and whatnot. Patrick, I'd like you to roll me another D100, please. And Al, I'd like you to roll me a D100, please. Okay. Oh, Al. Okay. So, Patrick, you're able to determine while exploring, is it fair to say that you're kind of exploring the interior to kind of see what's going on? Is that a fair assumption to make?
Yes.
Okay. And Al, would it be fair to say that you would be doing the same? looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, all right. So, Patrick, you're able to determine pretty quickly that their food supply was completely diminished, and that their oxygen, by the readouts of the oxygen generator, the oxygen recycler, that failed about 17 months ago. So this is a pretty old escape capsule. All right. Al, by the deterioration, well, it's strange. Their skin is very, very dry and extremely brittle, and because of that, you're not able to determine the time of death. You just know that they all passed a while ago.
Got it.
Over a year or two. Okay. Other than that, though, these individuals, it was 3 women and 1 man. They all seem human. One seems 20, and the other 2 seem to be maybe in their mid to late 40s. It's hard to tell based on their emaciated corpses, for lack of a better word. But there are some things. You have a salvaging skill, don't you, Patrick?
Yep.
I'd like you to roll that for me, please.
Oh boy, that's Oh, okay.
Excellent. So you're able to salvage quite a bit. Well, you feel that you could probably salvage a lot from here, right? The first and foremost, of course, is the distress beacon itself. It is, with the exception of needing the battery recharged, it never hurts to have another beacon that can be jettisoned into space or attached to something. So that's first and foremost what you can grab. Okay. Secondly, interestingly enough, the oxygen generator, as mentioned, it failed, but only because it lost power to it. There was no mechanical failure. Now, it's a little old, but it was shielded considerably on the inside of the device. And although some of the interior wiring needs some repair, it's relatively minor. And you have a generator that can provide enough oxygen in an enclosed space, we'll say approximately a 20-foot area square, enough oxygen for 4 individuals for a period of 6 months before it can recycle 6 months worth of oxygen, for lack of a better word, right? Before fresh air needs to be pumped in. If that makes sense? Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. In addition, the power source itself seems to have been an electrical battery that has about a 1-year lifespan. It's completely dead, but not completely worthless. You imagine you could probably get a good amount of money or use out of a battery, even though it's lost its charge. All right. And then finally, as not exciting as it could be, but there is a very good waste disposal service as well that is completely salvaged. So, of course, in space, it is difficult when there's human waste involved. Where do you store it? Well, this thing actually atomizes it completely. It breaks it down until it nearly dissipates. It becomes so small, so inconsequential, it can be jettisoned very easily. So I guess you could say it's almost like a molecular destabilizer for waste.
Okay.
That's cool.
And that is equally very similar to the oxygen generator. A little rough, but easily repairable and salvageable. What isn't salvageable, unfortunately, is most of the casing itself, especially the exterior. This thing probably did have quite a bit of shielding, quite a bit of armor for radiation, solar rays, and overall damage. But because of the amount of time it's spent out there, it has it's as good as junk, unfortunately. The people themselves, they don't have any sort of technology on them. They don't have any personal computing devices. But one final thing that might be of some interest to you that, Patrick, you would have gotten relatively easy is the equivalent of a black box. Okay, so what it is, it's a small data cache. Most of it is data as far as the direction it's gone, how long it's been out there for, and more importantly, the ship that it was attached to. LifePod 42 belonged to the YSS Lifebringer. So we'll say, for lack of a better word, we're gonna call it a black box.
Okay.
So yeah, you've gotten the black box for this pod. So, do we have any questions?
Let's see. So, 3 dead bodies.
Yeah.
A very dead capsule. This is at least a body of an escape pod. And if that was it was probably a thorough search. So,
Well, if there's some sort of systems or something like that you want to do a double check on, or you're curious about, like even as a player, feel free to voice yourself.
all right.
The lives weren't salvageable?
No, Squee.
Then I'm good.
The
if I don't
lives?
ask.
No, fair enough. Fair enough, I guess.
No, it's not. It's not fair enough, Inferno.
Okay.
Dead.
DED.
Dead.
I'm quite good.
You're content?
Yeah. So I guess the question for the players is, how you want to take care of the bodies?
Well, I mean, what are we gonna do with this stuff? We're trying to get the ship back to Stephen Ward, and like, are we going to go to Freedom Station and sell the scrap and maybe the pod that's worthless and the bodies? That seems really creepy.
Well,
I off the top of my head, I would almost want to jettison the pod again and
Right.
do a whole burial in space type deal.
Wouldn't it be better to bring it to a station in case they have next of kin or someone else who could find out more information about this?
Yeah, I guess. My thing is this isn't our ship after we dock at Freedom Station, so we're left with a pod that maybe we might get information.
No. My thought was to turn it over to the authorities at the station and see if they can use it to help figure out what happened, or like, my idea is not to have the pod itself.
Okay, I can
All right.
I can do that.
I have an actual action in game, so I'd probably ask Blink what is usually done with these, since these are probably not uncommon.
Well, Blink says, well, honestly, you could recover the bodies and give them to next to kin. There might be some sort of reward for that, or you might just want to do that out of the goodness of your heart. She says most of the time, what most people do, though, is that deactivate the distress beacon so other ships don't come that way. A lot of people need as much ice, so they salvage as much as they can. But for those worrying about the next of kin, and she looks over to Al and Tom, typically the information taken from the capsule, I saw you retrieve that little small black data box. That totally has enough information of who the people were and where the next of kin might be. You hand that over to a space station that might give a damn, and they probably take care of the rest.
Now, okay, then as far as, well, the bodies go, what would typically be done in a situation like this?
Well, if you're able to transport the bodies, you can do so, but most people, what they do is they leave them in the pod, they jettison the pod itself, they mark the location, and they notify the authorities of those who want to retrieve the bodies exactly where to find them.
Sounds fair enough.
Oh
doesn't
god.
care.
No, I just thought of something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'll give this to the rest of the players because Patrick is not going to do this, but hey, it would be interesting to put down. Inferno just gave us something very interesting.
Sup?
Inferno has just given us 3 bodies that have names and histories and backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
If we need to use them,
Oh, dangerous though. The second we run into someone who knows the person,
it can.
you
be
sure
used.
don't look like my son. Yeah,
can be used.
Okay,
so I'm throwing that out there,
Mhm.
but I know Patrick is not going to do that. Probably not going to be too happy about that.
No, I don't think Al would be too happy about it either. I mean, like, here's an idea, and here's something Al might do. Write down all the names, maybe keep a copy of it all, in case, but he'd feel kind of icky about using that unless it had to.
Right. It's just it does that they do have official information that's as close as an alias as a good alias as you can get.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Though once we hand them over to that, we're not going to be able to use that for official, for like to trick officials if we want to use it for that, because they would already have the records of these just guys showed up and they are dead and it's in our database.
Can you hear us, Burn? We can't hear you.
That's true.
I can't hear.
No, you can't. Okay. Well, we'll get this. Well, I'll just give it a moment or two. I'm going to use the washroom. Hopefully, Burn will get this sorted out. We'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
If this was in 3 galaxies, I'd probably use that in a heartbeat.
Oh god,
But,
yeah. Why do people keep leaving us?
It's just the one guy.
All right. I'm gonna take this opportunity to go grab a drink.
All right.
Be right back.
Hey, Chad.
BRB, lols.
You get out of here, Squeak. You get out of here. Get your drink. Get your drink. Gonna get the spoon.
Spoon?
Yes, I'm hitting him with a spoon.
Hitting who with a spoon?
Squee.
Oh, good. He needs a good spoon hitting once in a while. Keep him.
I thought you were gonna say spooning.
He does need a good spooning too, but that's HK's job, not mine.
Jeez.
Is he gone?
Yeah, he's getting a drink.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
You certainly give us a lot of options to go the evil route. I tell you what.
You're welcome. Got a lot of options. You guys can go. You give us a lot of options to go the evil route. Well, why not? You can't. I can't. It's fun tempting my players. It's fun tempting them.
Patrick is appalled.
Well,
We'll have none of it.
you can take it up with the universe, motherfucker.
Patrick, dear universe.
Dear universe, stop being a big meanie head. Love, Patrick.
Sincerely yours.
P.S. Stop sending me dead guys.
Certainly a lot of death over here.
Crack me up, dude. You crack me the fuck up. All right. Well, there was a little Spanish flea. Yeah.
One day Patrick is going to snap. See, the snapping period for Patrick, at least something much larger must come around for such things.
Yeah.
He might get upset and snap at somebody, but I don't think he's going to snap.
Yeah, mentally snap requires something really earth-shaking to happen.
And he's already past his naivete in
Mhm.
his life. He still has a lot of flaws for trust, as in he's very easy to to give other people trust
Mhm.
for no particular reason other than why not? He's
I
probably a
do.
good dude, right?
God, I still love that. You have a tendency of giving people a lot of stuff. Could you not do that? You know what I mean? Like, when did you do that? Like, when you gave him $3 million?
When that other time where you're just like, yeah, just take all my money. That's great. I gotta I seriously just remember that, and also that's what it was, Lee. We're just like, I would like this payment of 10,000 a
Yes.
week, and he's like 40,000.
Or 15.
Take it or leave.
Like, you're doing the opposite of bargaining. Let's give you more.
All part of the plan.
Uh-huh.
We made a friend for life.
I don't think it's because you gave him more money.
Yes, but see, you can't prove it's not.
I can.
I'm quite sure
No, Inferno, you can't be a part of this conversation.
Since I'm the god in this universe, I do know all. I can prove it, if
Yes,
it's correct.
but you
or
can't
not.
tell us, otherwise you'll ruin the illusion.
Exactly. Much like the real one, I work in mysterious ways.
Now your ship is suddenly snow. What? Yep, snow in space. Have fun.
It's mysterious, motherfuckers. Enjoy floating in an igloo.
Your ship's now an igloo. Deal with it.
Okay,
Does it
Burn
have
says,
oxygen?
Burn
Yeah.
says to go ahead without him, but he's gonna be. He just takes a while for things to boot up. He's gonna hop
Okay.
in eventually here.
Okay.
Well, the last. Let's continue things on. Of course. Is there anything else you guys wanted? Oh yeah, you have to decide what you want to do with the shuttle. I mean, with the escape pod. That's what you're still deciding what to do.
All right. Well, for one, I would still, if we are going to be taking the dead bodies, love a carrying case for that. I'd rather not kick out the escape pod and just have dead bodies on the floor.
Well, that's unfortunate. You'd have to fashion one or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a lot of materials, and like, for example, the fuel came in, that was left on the space station that you delivered it to. You don't really have a lot of. You have like crates, but they're not for bodies. Like, you'd have to kind of like stuff them in there. It'd be really gross.
Just have them laying on the floor.
Or
That's kind of what's going to have to happen, unless you guys can think of something else.
Or we just do what Blink suggested, which is send it back out into space and keep the black box and give it to the station.
Did she say to send it out into space?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You mark put it back into space, mark its exact coordinates, where you found it, what time, where it was, and you hand that over with the black box, and then you let a space station that, quote, gives a damn, handle it. So, for example, Freedom Station or Euro Station or even Leica Station would probably care. Outcast Station, I don't think they would give a single shit. Unless they thought there was something valuable in it.
No,
But
not
they all seem like
Outcast.
such nice people.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that one guy who was really bothered by a lot of people at a table? I think he cares.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So we found these dead bodies in space.
Well, if
do
you two
something
come,
about that.
I know we're waiting for Burn, but if you two come to a consensus, ironically, you would outvote whatever Burn would want. As mean, that sounds mean,
Good.
but
What does
it's a
Burn
way of
not
getting.
want? No.
I think we should
I'm
pass
for.
Blink into space. He'd love that.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm actually all for following Blink's advice.
Okay.
Patrick,
Oh, there's Burn.
as much as he's actually genuinely okay with dead bodies, because apparently he reanimated a dead body a few times.
Did you?
Yeah, I kept taking off and putting back on a head.
Oh,
true.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Just
I
creeping people
forgot
out.
about that.
Yeah, that was the thing.
I
So
like that.
So he would suggest that the body itself is still worth selling, like the body of the ship, the escape pod is probably still worth something. The shielding might be crap, but the rest of it's still probably worth something.
Right.
Are you guys there?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Brian.
Okay, so I'm sorry about that.
Mhm.
My area had a blackout.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
Inferno.
So
Yeah.
That voice is back in my head again.
Yeah, it's Burn. It's fine. It's your
guess
friend.
what? Deal with it. So what did we decide on?
We haven't decided yet. We're
Okay,
still
so-
doing- oh my god.
I cut out right as we asked Blink what the proper procedure is.
Oh shit. Okay.
And-
The proper procedure. Okay, I'll reiterate. Proper procedure is to most people. They either take the bodies and deliver the bodies and let them know. But what most people do is they put it back into space. Most people who care, of course, put it back into space, mark the location, time, and where it is. Take the black box of the capsule itself, deliver it to a space station that gives a damn, and then have them take care of it. So they pass it on to next of kin and arrange a body recovery or whatever.
I like that.
Okay. Now, Squee likes that idea too. Patrick brought up that he's comfortable enough about having dead bodies around because he says, thanks to a salvaging check, he says, there's a lot of systems here on the capsule itself that is probably worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
So,
but
Mhm.
we're also going on an expedition to Mars to possibly, get a boon and possibly get a whole crap ton of money.
We got
so-
Daddy Warbucks.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, my opinion is,
okay, well then let's just have a nice straight up vote then, okay? So who votes for putting it back into space?
I am raising my hand for some reason.
Okay. Just Squee?
I.
Okay, Burn. All right. Who votes for keeping it and selling it?
I think that we should keep it and sell it.
Okay, fair enough. Unfortunately, despite your earnestness, Piff, I'm afraid you've been outvoted. So if it's okay, but I know, right? Yes.
How close was I?
Well, if you had one other person on your side, it'd be a tie.
You know when people say one vote mattered? It really, really did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only it was Criana was here. Anyway, you guys are okay. So you decide you keep the black box. You jettison the escape pod. You mark down on your computer systems of the location, time, date, sector, the whole shebang, and you continue on to Freedom Station. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So once again, you reach Freedom Station hours later. You return to Freedom Station, and once again, after giving your ticket number to the inquiries, to the ships or the personnel that inquire, you are now guided or told to go to Docking Bay 37. See, I didn't do 42 this time. Anyways, back to Docking Bay 37, which, as a parallel compared to the first Docking Bay you were in, this one's actually quite large. It seems that can hold about 8 different vessels of a variety of sizes, but like the rest of Freedom Station, is quite organized and meticulous as far as record keeping. Once again, you are given Security 1 passes and return to the exact same hub area, taking the elevator, for lack of a better word, the lift, turbo lift, to this area, in which, of course, you can do it to pass your time. You have, once again, a 12-hour thing, but I believe your real intentions are to communicate, get back in touch with Mr. Stephen Ward. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is if you guys would like to use one of the terminals there in these chairs, or if Patrick wants to link into one of these terminals, or if you guys want to do both.
I think that would be up to Patrick.
What? All right.
How would you like to tackle this problem, sir?
If only we had a capsule with some dead bodies on it.
Never gonna let that go. Oh shit! Wait, before we do the Stephen Ward thing, there would be an opportunity during the whole docking procedure, getting the security passes and whatnot, where you could pass on to the welcoming agents, the customs officials, the interior police force, and you could pass on this information to them pretty quick. You guys want to do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think there's be any reason to really role play it. They would take down all your data. They'd thank you for your help. You would hear them comment that this seems to be it. They look at the black box itself. They access the data. They say, "Oh, it's one of Euro's stations." And they'll pass it off to them next time we're in communication, and that's that.
Okay.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So, so here we go, back at the hub, the Security One hub. And yeah, I was just wondering if Patrick wants to link in or not, or if you guys want to communicate to Stephen Ward. Really, you guys could do both. You know, Tom accessing one terminal, Al accessing another terminal, and kind of have a group chat with Stephen Ward with Patrick linking in. That's another option.
Skype him.
In a sense, well, what would happen is that you would all be using this messenger program at the same time, but it would be the equivalent of a Skype lobby, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just, as a rule, I don't want myself or my character to tell Patrick to link in because that is his damn business. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
Where a man plugs his headphones in is his business.
Take this damn wire and insert it into your goddamn head, okay? Just do it.
Well, okay.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Oh, great. No one's asking
But
you to.
we will tell him to throw a capsule back into space.
Oh my god.
I like the
my
idea,
God.
though. I do like the idea.
Patrick.
Yes, I link in.
Okay. The only reason why I want to do that is because this would be the first time Patrick would actually really link into another computer. So I kind of wanted to describe what he saw. Okay. So Patrick, as mentioned last session, you got a new bit of software that allows, it's a linking interface device, right? So it gives you kind of a heads up display and a way of navigating the link rather than just simply having it all kind of collect in your mind without any sort of real image or structure to it. This software actually gives you such structure. And in fact, the heads up display comes in 3 different varieties, all right? So the first one and the most popular one is where the user is in the equivalent of a captain's chair. And interfacing the link is like you're in a small spaceship itself. And you guide the spaceship down reams of information and you access it by docking to these different programs, bits of software, informational hubs, networks, the whole thing, right? So the vehicle in which you navigate this link superhighway is in the guise of like a spaceship, right? The other interface is a very classic. It's actually seen. There's the spaceship VI, right? And then there's something called the classic VI, and the classic VI is something almost directly out of Neuromancer. Right, where there's this shimmering white light over your body, and you guide and you float and you actually physically, your body itself kind of flies through the link, almost like a superhero in a way, almost like Silver Surfer, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the third interface is completely different to all that. What that one is more like a really huge screen in front of you, right? Like a huge touch screen. Instead of you venturing out into the link, all the information from the link comes to this giant monitor, right? Think of something like, did you see the movie Minority Report? With Tom Cruise,
so.
it's this big blue screen, and he has these little lights on the end of his fingers, and he can use it to manipulate data and swish it around and bring up a window and expand and manipulate things and that whole deal. If not, that's what that screen does. Where at your fingertips you can drop information onto this screen, expand, manipulate it, investigate it in a very tactile way, like a person shaping a clay pot.
Okay.
So out of those three choices, when you first boot up this software, this link interface software, which device would you like to use?
He would probably choose number 3.
Jesus Christ. Fucking Squeeb, reading in chat, by the way. He thinks maybe an XXX version of this. One is an interface where you fly a penis, and the info is a V, quote, V you talk with.
What? It's an efficient way that most people would understand.
You're a monster.
Thank you.
You're also a pervert.
You're a
But
pervert
anyways.
monster. Well, I can't really call him a pervert because, I mean, look who's talking. Anywho, great. So
Yeah.
you're going to take the third option, Patrick. That's great.
Yeah.
So sure enough, you're able to. It takes a little bit of adjustment for this, but surprisingly, what seems to be a long time for you to get used to this interface, maybe a period of minutes, is really in reality a period of seconds, because all this is going at lightning fast speed. You're processing this with the large sections of your brains and your single brain, and what might take a few seconds to type out a command on a keyboard happens lightning fast when it's just with a thought, right?
Mhm.
But you're able to find the program to contact Stephen Ward, and you join on in this call, which everyone else has kind of brought together. And you see Stephen. He seems to be in a different backdrop. Before he was clearly in the cockpit of his ship, and now it appears that you can almost recognize the pearly white shimmering walls and the colors of reds and whites and a little spattering of blue, that he's probably on Freedom Station himself, or at least a place that is painted like Freedom Station. And he gives a big grin. He goes, "Oh, you're back already. Heard that last trip was a walk in the park. There's 5,000 ice in your account for you. I don't have anything just yet, but check back in about 4 or 5 days, and I'm sure there'll be something else for you guys. I'm assuming the Covenant worked just well on your first maiden voyage with her." Yeah, now it's time to break his little heart.
Yeah.
And hello, he says. Tap, 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 tap. Is this thing on? I can see you.
Sorry, I got a blow dryer going. I was trying to close the door. Otherwise, Steve would be like,
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
Al would say,
We're gonna take
yes, she's an excellent ship.
Mm-hmm.
However, an interesting opportunity has presented itself to us.
He says. All right.
Uh,
He says, I did mention that if you guys came across opportunities and presented them to me, I'd be interested. So I'm all ears.
Okay. Probably not quite the opportunity you had in mind, but have you ever heard of Baron, and I cannot remember his name, sorry,
Dioxin?
Baron Dioxin?
Okay, do we want to add a character to disguise something? Because I hear Pip making sad noises.
Do we want to add a character to decide something? Because we would have discussed what we were going to say beforehand.
You guys had a 36-hour journey to decide what you're going to say. So
Yeah.
we can retroact this a little
So
bit.
remember when you told the Baron that we had a big being of great power that could grant us every wish?
Uh-huh. And this is similar to that how?
Somebody who's generally has gone underground for a while, who is also a big, let's just say a kingpin in his own regard. And if you tell somebody you're directly in business with a kingpin, you may not get the best reaction back.
So the alternative is to say we're headed on a big expedition to Mars funded by I don't want to tell you?
If you want to word it that way, I guess.
Well, I mean, okay, first of all, I mean, I guess I kind of see the point, but weren't we already talking about having Baron Dioxin kind of send a word to smooth things over to make this okay, and none of us really had any issues with
but
that?
we chose to do it ourselves.
I had an issue with that. You think would Baron Dioxide would just be like, oh, hey, these guys are doing it and have a pleasant day? I don't think so.
Okay. So then how would you like to approach this?
Do you guys think we should just say, hey, we got approached by the network. They want us to do something. Unfortunately, there is a difference between actually dropping the name, meaning that you are actually connected directly to the main guy, and just the company. You know what I mean? There is a huge difference.
I guess.
Okay, Microsoft wants me to go and do something for them, or not Steve Jobs, but Bill Gates wants me to go water his lawn. What do you think the kind of reaction? There's a huge difference between that.
Actually, that's a really good point.
That is a good point. I see that.
Yes. You're in tight with Bill Gates? Holy fuck, can you get a word in for me? That's the kind of reaction that we would get if we would to drop that name.
I'm not quite sure what reaction we get with that name, but it's going to be similar in large things. Either I don't want to ever talk to you again, or can you do me a favor, or
yeah.
If you just say you're this thing has told us to do this, and it's kind of we can't say no, he may have a different reaction.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's heard of the network, and I'm pretty sure he knows that some of the shady stuff that they do. So if we just are vague with it and go, we were approached by the network, and they offered us something that we couldn't refuse.
Okay, I'm fine.
And
with
we're
this.
we're going to be going and doing something for at least 8 months. And
wait, yeah. Why don't we let him in? Say, hey, we're on an expedition to Mars. Do you want in? Do you want something? Is there something we can do to get in your good graces? I mean, this is an expedition to Mars.
Yeah. So dropping those things would give him a large reaction, but thank God we're not telling him that we're directly just
okay.
a bear.
I get the not the direct part. So let's say we go about this with the network has given us an offer and we can't refuse, which is kind of a lie that we don't need to say. What do we do when he says, well, who? Why can't you refuse? Who are we talking about here? You see what I'm saying?
What do you mean who? It's the network.
No, but who?
You don't...
What do you mean
the network? The network, Squee.
And if I say who in the network? What do you mean the network? The network.
The dude's name.
Look, the thing is, whoa. Okay, we didn't ask the dude's name yet. Somehow they've offered us to head an expedition to Mars, and we can't refuse, and we don't even know the dude's name. That makes no sense. My point is, if we just say the network, which I'm fine with saying, and he comes back and says, who? What are we going to do? What are we going to just be like, the network? That's going to make him really suspicious and creeped out, and we don't need to go there.
We were approached by somebody affiliated with the network, and they offered us a job or something like that.
See it from my point of view.
Okay.
From what you're telling me, you were approached from some person from the network. You don't know anything about them. You don't really know who they are, but somehow they've put you in charge of an expedition to Mars. Do you see the
That's why we don't tell him that. We don't tell him that we're going to Mars.
Why not?
Get your ass to Mars.
Okay, so in other words, we want to say, look, we just... Okay, then let's go another route. We just signed a contract with you in good faith, but screw you, we've got something else to do for 8 months because the network has given us an offer we can't refuse. That's going to burn bridges with this guy faster than you can say hello.
Hello.
I mean, if you were in his place, you'd be incredibly suspicious at best.
May I be a mediator for a moment?
Sure.
Okay. So let's just boil this down to brass tacks, all right? Maybe we'll just check things off, and maybe a solution will come that way, all right? So I guess the first question is this: is let's go with the assumption that you want to break things off with Stephen Ward as easy as possible, right? You don't want to burn any bridges, right? Can everyone agree on that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So then you have a few options, right? You can be vague about it, right? Or you can be specific about it. Now, both of them have their own risks. Being vague might make him a little upset, right? Being specific could divulge too much information that also could make him upset. So honestly, you guys are debating about two choices that have almost, from what you know, because you don't know Stephen Ward that well, right? They have an equal chance of getting him upset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both concerns are valid because you don't know I don't think you guys know his personality super well, right? You're all going on assumptions. So assuming both paths, being vague or being specific, being truthful or being dishonest, have an equal way of making him upset, then perhaps you guys should brainstorm a way together of something that you could tell him that has the least likely way of making him upset, right? So rather than suggesting something and saying, oh, that'll probably piss him off, right? How about we all come together and we think, okay, well, if I were told this, right, what would be, it's almost like breaking up with someone, right? What's the easiest way to break up with somebody? So maybe we should brainstorm that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. My thought behind it was if we went something along the lines of, we're going to suspend our service with you for 8 months, but we're not breaking up with you. We found an interesting opportunity, an expedition to Mars, and we need 8 months to go do it. But this isn't bad for you. We're going to Mars. Maybe we could get you something to help you with your business. Maybe there's something you'd be interested in here. This is an exciting opportunity for you too. That's how I thought about phrasing it, and I thought that would make him excited, not angry.
Okay, what do you guys think?
All right. It sounds good if he doesn't ask any questions. Now, remember when you said that he would say, who? This would definitely be like, who's sending you on a Mars expedition?
Right? No, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a few options, right? You can be truthful and specific, you can be truthful and vague, or you can make something up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't tell you what to pick. I'm just outlining your options.
I don't see a big reason to lie to this man, especially when we don't know if lying's going to get us in trouble. Yeah. I know. I'm not saying we need to tell him absolutely everything. I'm saying I don't think we should make up like we're going somewhere for 8 months.
No, but remember, it's not going somewhere. We all agree you're going to tell him to go to Mars with your thing. It's who. When he asks, right, oh, who's funding this expedition? What are you going to say?
Well, what if we phrased it like this? It's some higher-ups in the network. We're not too sure exactly who's in charge. We've been given low-level positions. As long as he's not going himself, how would he ever know what positions we held? We've been offered a position on this expedition to Mars because of our skills. We're not going to tell him we're at the head of it. We'll tell him we're just been offered a seat at the table. And, well, who's funding this? Someone in the network. We're kind of low level. We don't know exactly.
I'm fine with that. We need to be really careful from now on who we're actually telling that we're going to Mars, because right now we are doing 3 things by going to Mars. We are not only going to try and find 3 pairs of insects and bring them back alive. We are also going to find wood for barium dioxin, but also the mystery thing for Stephen Ward. That's getting to be a lot of stuff that we're going to have to do on Mars.
I do agree with that. And I would be all for not doing anything with the one exception. We did just sign a contract with this man, and now we're going back on our word. I feel, and I'm sure Al would feel, pretty bad about that.
we could like maybe offer to pay him off or something. I don't know.
I guess. I mean, that's always a possibility. Do we have the
I
money
mean,
for something
would
like that?
you? We currently have all up. Let me just add 5 grand.
5,000?
We have
Yeah.
224,000 IOUs out of 300,000 IOUs. We have spent not even 80,000 IOUs total.
Well, here's the
We
thing.
we have some cash on hand. We have over 2, 4, 6, 70, 80 grand on hand. Plus, we could even throw in, hey, we got the gravity generator. You can keep the gravity generator and the ship and all that, and maybe we can sweeten the deal. We got offered this position. We will probably be back in 8 months, and we might want to get back in contact with you then, unless you're able to find another crew.
Well, here's another way to look at this, too. We're dealing with people we're not sure we're comfortable with, right? We're kind of walking a tightrope here with the network. It might not be bad to have some people that we trust more than them in our corner. This guy is friends with Blink. He trusts Blink. Now, I know Blink said that we got to be careful about the whole Earth thing around him, but from everything we've seen from this guy, I trust Stephen Ward more than I trust the Baron. It might not be bad to have someone backing us on this whole crazy thing with a little bit more pull and influence than we have. I'm not saying that's something we should do. I'm just saying that is something to consider. Because we are about to go on an expedition with no one we know, everyone from the network, to Mars 8 months from here.
Yeah. Well, 4 months there and
4 months there,
back.
4 months back. With absolutely no allies, with the exception of
What do you
Blink.
think,
Yeah.
Piff?
Yeah.
What do you think? What should we do in this situation?
Would everybody be okay with saying, we're a part of the expedition going to Mars, and the network is behind all of this? They're the true anyway. They're the ones asking and funding this, and I guess he can fill in the rest if you guys don't want to say.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not entirely comfortable with asking, hey, is there anything that you want from Mars along with the other 2 things that we're going to have to try and do?
Here's
that's
some
what I'm trying to
pluses,
say.
Vern. So we got equipped and going on the expedition for a few tree stuff. If we do stuff for this guy, he needs to also give us something. It's not just we're doing this for free. So
Yeah, it's an opportunity, not a payment.
yeah.
I agree. I definitely agree. We don't want to put too much on our plate. And I would almost up until about 30 seconds ago, before I thought about this, I was with Burn in that this is a bit much. But I really do think that it might really behoove us to have someone we can at least somewhat trust in our corner. Because, like I said, we're going to be surrounded by the network.
We have Vadpo.
Lady got beat up by a guy stealing stuff from them.
We got Vadpo. It's fine. She's
Right.
badass.
I feel that you guys have been talking about this for a while, and I don't mind, right? But do you guys, it sounds like you guys have a general consensus, do you want to just flip into character and see how it rolls out?
Well, let's.
Or you guys can keep talking about
I was
it.
just gonna say, before we do that, how about we run down a quick checklist so that we're all kind of on the same page?
Okay, great. On the same page.
Not Baron Dioxidadon.
Dioxin.
Yeah, not Baron Dioxin, but the network. Who in the network? We could even say, who is that person? We could say we it was a contact through Scyther.
Sure. If it really comes
down to
for
it.
a name,
Right.
for whatever reason, sure.
I agree. That is not something we give out unless we really need to give a name. We tell him we've been offered a seat at the table at this expedition. We don't know the network that well. It's a great opportunity, but we're a little bit out of our element. We know you. We trust you. Hey, maybe we can make this an opportunity.
Sure.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
Piff?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so before we continue on, I almost forgot about the other NPCs. I don't think Mila gives a crap about this. She's probably at the bar drinking more steaming shots right now. But would you mind, did you want, Blink and Alicia to come in on this? Okay, all right, cool. Just so I have that in mind, too. Okay, so sure enough, yeah. Oh, you said you had a lot of... well, we talked about having opportunities. Well, what did you have in mind?
Wait, I'm confused. Are we talking to
Remember? Well, no. You're talking to Stephen Ward. Remember the last thing he said before you start divulging the Baron Diox thing is well, we have an opportunity. And then Stephen Ward said, oh, well, that's all right. We talked about having opportunities. If you found something, you present it with me. I'm all ears. I'm interested. What's up?
Well, we've been offered a seat at the table for an expedition to Mars.
When you say that, he gives a kind of a surprised chuckle, and his smile fades, but it's replaced not with anger or confusion, but genuine surprise. He goes, oh, wait, did you say Mars?
I did.
Why the hell would you want to go to that bug-crawling planet? That's a suicide mission.
It's not if you send a big enough expedition, apparently.
He goes, wait, so you're going to be part of some expedition now?
We've been offered a position, yes.
Oh, I see, he says, and his shock disappears with kind of a frank business, cold look as he kind of folds his arms. Okay, yeah, I see how this is, he says. You got a better offer.
Not really. I think I don't want to give the wrong impression. We're not coming to you to saying we want to end our contract, though this would take 8 months round trip. We're coming to you because we're a little bit out of our element here, and we know you and we trust you. And we're wondering maybe this is an opportunity for you as well.
He gives a bit of a sigh, and he says, when we agreed to work together, you said you wouldn't take any jobs from anyone else, but he kind of looks over. Well, he doesn't look over to Blink, but he says, and you spoke up for these people, Janina, he says. But whatever, things can't get unfucked. And you said there's an opportunity. What? I heard something in the background.
You heard laughter, not at you.
Oh, okay. And he says, sorry, my train of thought kind of got derailed there. Things can't get unfucked. But you said there's an opportunity, so I'd be pretty foolish to not listen to you further. He says he's displeased, but he's not upset. Does that make sense as far as his mood goes? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, go on.
Well, from what we understand, a large part of this expedition is to get information on what happened back there, and also to get things like wood, which is very rare up here.
Jesus. He goes, okay.
We've been hired on for our skills, or at least I should say we've been offered positions because of our skills. Like I said, we're still a bit out of our depth here. We're wondering if this is something you'd be interested in, because quite frankly, we wouldn't mind having you in our corner.
He kind of gives a surprise, and he's like, you want me to come along with you?
No.
I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell I'd do that.
That's not precisely what I meant. Of course, you have obviously things to run here. Absolutely. It's just, it would be better for us to know there's someone here who we can rely on, if that makes sense.
He furrows his brows a little bit, and he says, "Rely on? Well, who's funding this expedition?"
I'm sure you've heard of the network.
His eyes go wide, and he goes, "You've got to be fucking kidding me.
I am not.
You're members of the network?" He goes to Blink. "They're members of the network? You never fucking told me that."
We aren't members of the network. We've been approached by the network. I'm sure you know enough of the network by now to know that when they see talent and they want people, they aren't exactly shy about contacting them.
"No, they're not," he says.
We, again, are a bit out of our element here.
He takes a long, deep breath, and he says, "I'm not going to get involved with the network. That lies a very dangerous path. And I went into business to help myself. And I don't see any benefit. I've been approached by the network myself from time to time. I hear stories about it. I hear people getting approached, getting hired on like you do. Sometimes they make a lot of good money, and sometimes they disappear. I wish you all the best of luck, and tell you what, don't worry about our contract. You give me back my ship, we're fine. I'll find myself a new crew, and I'll wish you the best of luck." But he looks over to Blink and he says, "Getting involved with the network is one thing. Going to Mars for them?" Gives a laugh. He goes, "I know it's all just rumor, but you know how many times people have tried to go to Mars, trying to get what you just said? Information, data, wood, resources, that whole thing?" He goes, 47 times. I've heard people doing expeditions. Sometimes it's freebooters. Sometimes it's members of the other thing. There's a reason why everyone avoids that goddamn planet. So you're going on a suicide mission for a bunch of fucking thugs. And I want no part of it. Okay?
Fair enough.
All right. Well, after this visit, of course, forget about your working ticket or anything like that. But do you need a hand arranging any sort of other transportation? He asks.
No, I think we've got that covered. Thank you for offering, though.
No problem. He says, "Well, good luck. If I see you alive again, I'll buy you a beer, but I don't know if I'll see you again. Blink, are you going along with them? There's still an open spot on my crew." She pauses for a moment and she says, "Well, you just said it yourself there, Steve. They're going to need all the help that they can get. I got to at least give them some sort of chance." And he kind of shakes his head and he says, "Guess 15 years does change a person." And she goes, "Yeah, I guess it does. You see things and you change." And he goes, "Yeah. Well, unless there's anything else," he asks.
No. I think that we've pretty much covered it all.
Great.
Thank you for being understanding, at least.
"Yeah, no problem. I hope you know what you're getting into," he says, and then he ends communication.
Al's gonna lean back and, well, that didn't go well.
Nope.
Went
Blink.
as well as I thought it would.
Yep. Blink says, "Silver lining. Steven kind of keeps to himself. I doubt he's going to tell people that you work for the network or that we do work for the network. I think we go far enough that he'll respect that. So don't worry about that. But his reaction is the same thing I had. I just knew you guys long enough not to be so blunt about it."
I see.
She shrugs. "As I mentioned before, I mean, the network was really the only person She says this once again, hushed in private, so no one can overhear. And she says, I mean, the network was the only organization that had the means and was willing to break the law in order to get to Earth. So the very fact that we've met, and that you guys are here is probably in charge of them, right? But guys with all resources who are willing to break the law, like Steven said, they're feared and respected. Sometimes one more than the other.
No, I can't begrudge a man for that kind of choice.
Yeah. Good.
Well, shall we get going?
Sure. So, of course, a shuttle is going to be arranged. It's actually very, very similar to the one that you took, the one with all the indemnities and the video and everything like that. That's not a problem. But I think this is a great way to end the session. And the really nice thing, though, is now that we don't have to spend a lot of session time with you guys humming and hawing and worrying and thinking about what you want this ship to have or the requests you would ask for Baron Dioxin. Right? Now we can talk about that in between the sessions, right? So if all things, so I'll be communicating to you guys a little bit more often than I normally do. And I'm going to kind of start letting you know what's available, what's feasible, what kind of ships you might have and everything like that. And then so what we can start next session with is just a very quick breakdown of everything you have, all the resources available, who's going with you, the whole shebang. Then I say we just start off that fucking expedition to Mars like right away. Sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Great.
I honestly only have one question.
Sure. Yeah, lay it on me now then.
So what is the prerequisite to wearing and or using Glitter Boy armor?
Power armor, robots and power armor, that skill. That's pilot it. In order to fight in it, you need combat robots and power armor, at least basic.
Basic. So that would be 2 skills. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okie
Can you
dokie,
get me a
artichoke.
pony?
There's no such things as ponies in space. They need grass. And all the grass, all the hydroponics are for plants that provide food and oxygen. People don't really care so much about grass. It's not very efficient. I know.
These people have never tasted the pleasure of a hamburger.
No, they really have.
What kind of hamburgers have you eaten out of ponies, Squee?
What? No, those were two completely unrelated things.
Well, the last animal you were talking about were ponies, my friend.
I see the confusion.
But that is really interesting. I mentioned this before when I was talking about foods, is when you're dependent completely on harvested materials, like everyone in space is a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. Quarians
Or
are too,
cannibal.
for that matter.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
Because their life ships didn't have the same, for the exact same reason.
You know, I want to put this before we end the session, oddly enough, because you mentioned Quarians, is that I realized when Stephen Ward was talking about you going on a suicide mission for a bunch of thugs, I'm like, oh my God, this is like Mass Effect 2.
Oh my God.
Yep. Kind of. It's not, well, they're calling it a suicide mission. I don't know if it is a suicide mission.
Right.
Inferno can't tell whether or not, right? But everyone does, like, the common person who knows about Mars knows that you don't fucking go there unless you want to get eaten by bugs.
Yeah.
And the network was always the network. It was always outlined, and I feel that I'm playing them really well. So they're very, very different from Cerberus.
Mm-hmm.
But still that vibe, you know, of being a crew-manned expedition on a quote-unquote suicide mission.
For a
Very
shady
Mass Effect
organization.
2-ish.
If not as bad as Cerberus, obviously, but still a shady organization.
Oh, very much so, yeah. So it's kind of crazy, eh? It's
Yeah.
funny how themes repeat in space. So, yeah, there you go. Well, I think we can wrap things up here.
All right, then.